use a selfie to this.
I've got one somewhere.
And it's actually pretty good for the angle.
Are you?
Hey, James T. Welcome to Chattanooga. Uh, we're on a paranormal investigation, not a full-fledged one. It's just like a little practice run, that kind of thing. We're at a local cemetery, and I have some compatriots over here. You know me, James T.
Paul Cagle.
Chris Webb.
And Dr. Ben Davis.
And are you a skeptic like Ben is?
I think I'd fit into that category.
Okay. Well, we'll see what we can find. All right.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll look around.
well, I mean, I'm always open to evidence.
Possibilities. Like I was saying a minute ago, this is a Sony camera. It's actually got the night shot on it, so it actually takes in very very low light, like one candle kind of thing. You know, very low. I've got an array of equipment, an EMF detector. You know, it detects electromagnetic fields. You, have you heard the theory on that?
No, lay it on me.
Essentially, do you want to know?
Go ahead.
Okay. Essentially, the theory is that, well, we'll put it as a hypothesis, not
Yeah.
a theory.
The
The hypothesis is that if there's a spirit or entity or something left over, you know, because we're all just energy, that which we are, will create an electromagnetic field, just like electricity going through a wire, and you pass this over that, and it'll go off, and supposedly if a spirit or an entity walks by, then you can tell by this
It'll
going off.
register it.
You want to see it?
So it will actually go off. It's like live now. So if
Uh,
something
You just have
happens.
to
We'll
watch
have
your
to
phones,
just,
because your phones
know.
will make it go off too.
Mhm.
So you might want to put it on airplane mode, or just be careful with around your phone, because if
Yeah.
you get a text message or email, it'll make that thing go off. So you have to be really careful.
Yeah, because it'll detect any kind of RF. Also, one of the things about high, you know, like electromagnetic fields, some people are sensitive to those, and
Mostly children.
if yeah, if you're in your house and you have really old wiring, that kind of thing, it can make you think you're seeing things
And
or
cause
hearing
bad
voices.
dreams. And I know a lot of
Headaches and
children have been sensitive to it. And when we do investigations, they'll say, "My child sees something right there," and we'll go over and use the EMF detector, and it's the only spot that has a field there.
yeah,
And so they're picking up on it somehow.
yeah, because they're sensitive. I guess we've dulled it down
Well, it's also
in
what they
age.
use, like in haunted houses for the scare boxes. They put out high EMF, and it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable and spooky, and like something's watching you. So,
You want to go ahead and get started walking?
sure. Are we walking?
Oh, we can ride if you want.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Well,
Where are we going?
well, I
You're gonna
guess
edit this, right?
we're
I'm about
live.
to trick
We're
you.
live.
I was about to say, are
I'm
we
about
live
to
or are
put
you? Well, that's cool.
Well,
I
I figured
apologize for anything that I say ahead of time, because I will.
we'd just go up to the archway. That seems to be a hot spot, and the crypt,
Yeah.
which is that one spot that I had my experience uh, with Epic, Eclectic Paranormal Investigation Court. We really don't do anything anymore. Um, I don't know. Did I tell you guys that
What's
situation?
that? No, you haven't.
This is my one, in my mind, the most solid evidence I've ever, and I had an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, and it's the one time that I ever really experienced anything solid. There were four of us standing behind a crypt, and it was a rather large group. There was about 15 to 18 of us, and we were just standing there. And
Minding your own
Bob,
business.
well, we were asking questions. We asked, or Bob asked, "What is your name?" And we all just got quiet. And it was late. It was already dark and all that. And there was four males, me and Bob and two other guys standing there. And we heard as clear as a bell. And I don't remember the name. I think it was Susan. There was a female voice. Just said, Susan. It was just as clear as I just said it. And we all four looked up and looked at each other,
Yeah,
checked the EVP, and it was on the recorder.
So you got a disembodied voice.
We got a disembodied voice. And that's the one thing that I have, over everything else that I can explain away. I can't explain that away. So, let's see.
so you still have this recording? Or?
I think Bob has it. I think Bob probably has it somewhere. I have to check and see if he's got it.
So one of the things that I was thinking about is what about a ghost or a spirit would be detectable that wasn't already detectable about a human being?
It's a good question. I don't necessarily have a good answer for that, other than all the electrical, everything that's going on in our bodies right now are insulated.
I would just assume that whatever can be physically measured about a presence would be a fraction of what would be detectable about when you were alive.
Correct.
Like you can put, an EEG monitor on a person's head and measure brain activity
Right.
in a way that you can duplicate over and over and over again.
But once they die, where does that energy go?
Well, I think it just ceases to function. It's
Yeah, but
a byproduct of a biological function.
yeah, but physics says that energy is never created or destroyed; it just changes shape. So if someone dies,
Well,
where does their awareness go?
Well, that I wouldn't necessarily say. I'm not convinced that is energy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that consciousness is energy.
Okay. Well, it's energy in part of
I'm
your
not.
nervous
I'm not.
system, right?
I'm not. Well, signals are sent to your nervous system.
But we have energy because we create heat. I mean, and I'm with you. It's a good question.
Where's your live feed going?
This is a YouTube live feed.
Oh, it's YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just trying to think of, it's like this meter. It detecting a ghost or spirit seems like it would be detecting something that was innate about a living person, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know what that would be, but
Well, the only explanation I could possibly come up with is maybe the possibility that by being contained within our bodies, we're insulated through skin and bone, muscle, and blood, and all that.
so the essence of your spirit, if you will, is something that we can't normally detect until it leaves the body. That's
I don't have an answer for you.
no. That's kind of what it sounded like you said. So I'm just
Reading
Well,
it back.
yeah,
right. That's all I'm saying is that's the hypothesis,
right.
because in a number of investigations, people use those meters
Right.
and better meters uh, to detect the movement of anything from cold spots to like any kind of energy form that may be cohesive and pass through an area where there's no electricity. Right? And so if you're just sitting there in an empty room and there's no electricity and the EMF meter goes off, especially after you're investigating or asking questions, that kind of thing. Where did that wave of energy come from?
It would come from the sun.
Well, the,
No,
that's not that sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying though. There's just like if we could see every aspect of the electromagnetic spectrum, the even the darkest night would be lit up like a fireball. It's just there's so much.
Yeah.
of the electromagnetic spectrum that's, you know, around us all the time. I mean, there's no place you're free of it.
Right. Well,
I mean,
in
maybe in a really high-tech Faraday cage or something like that, you could eliminate a lot of the background. But I don't.
in the case of an investigation, you don't just use one thing, right? You
Right,
don't just
of
use,
course.
like any other scientific investigation. You use multiple concepts of detection. Whether you're doing a survey about,
Is it that way?
yeah, somebody's survey about what soda you drink, you have to
Right.
have multiple layers to kind of check your results. So, all the goofy TV shows that do this stuff. Um, was it Ghost Adventures
Oh,
with Jersey Boy?
Yeah.
Those guys aren't helping your cause.
No, I
At
know.
this moment,
That's-
an orb flew out of Aaron's back. It's a bug. There's a tweet.
Yeah, that was a moth, man. But what you look at is, if you have a report or a feeling or, somebody's sensitive or whatever, you use a number of services or sources, like an EMF, like a voice box, like
Recorder.
a what?
Voice recorder.
A voice recorder, any kind of measure, like a sensitive flashlight. I've seen that used successfully, where you put a flashlight down and you ask whatever the entity is if they can hear you to turn it on, and it'll turn on. Ask them if you can still hear me, turn it off, and it'll turn off. So, and I don't have a flashlight that sensitive, but
Yeah, I mean, that would be, if you could put that experiment in a controlled environment and make it work, I mean, I can see that as being evidence. But it's, that would be a great way to test it.
yeah. And see, that's what you do is you use multiple methods of investigation to check and see if you're getting a response in more than one measurable way.
So how's that going?
Me, I haven't been investigating for quite some time.
I mean,
Like I said, the only really hardcore evidence I have is that electronic voice phenomena. And it wasn't even an EVP because we physically heard it. A lot of the shows and a lot of investigators will have recordings, and then it'll be just them asking questions, and they won't hear anything physically, but when they go back over the evidence, they will hear something in the background answering them that showed up on the recording. I didn't have that. The four of us heard the name, and then it showed up also on the recorder. All right. Then you get a set of eyes.
Yeah, behind
Here.
the arch. Actually, it was on this side of the arch.
And on this side, camera was on the other side.
Yep. I'll show you when we get up here.
Oh, why did you want to walk?
I will cut you. Scientific that.
I was sitting there thinking, wait, he didn't, wait.
I'm too old and overweight for this crap.
Well, no, that's why we need to be up here. I'm kind of overweight too.
Well,
No.
I guess we're all in the same boat on that one.
yeah.
I've spent way
It's a club.
too
We
much
got a
time
club
in the
going.
graveyard.
I'm not quite on your level, Paul, but I'm getting there.
One day, if you try, you two will succeed.
I am not afraid of a good meal, let me tell you that. Fried chicken is
Not afraid of
my enemy.
I'm
I
not
had
afraid
fried
of a
chicken
bad-
for dinner.
I'm not afraid of a
Cracker
bad
Barrel.
I had
Yeah,
had hot wings at Mexi Wings. That's a really good.
I was about to say, is that a local thing?
Well, it's a chain kind of, but it's individually owned. So it's really good wings. This is the arch.
There's an arch.
Free and Associated Masons.
Yes,
We know the Masons are involved.
in everything.
Yes.
Damn conspiracy everywhere you go.
That's a different show.
Yeah, that's a completely different show. We're not doing a conspiracy thing. But the camera that you had was set up over here, right?
Yeah, I was holding it. It was
But-
pitch black. And I was trying to get a picture of the arch. And so I was trying to line it up, but I kept getting pictures back and forth. So I took a picture and had like the top half of the arch. Then I finally got it. But right behind it, right about there, were two red eyes staring at me. Somebody said, "It's a car." I was like,
Not unless
In
it's
a
Doc
tree?
Brown
I was about
flying
to
from
say, that's
1988.
pretty big elevation difference for the car.
but I got
I'll
three
pass it over
pictures
that
of
so
it.
Check it. Yeah, I get some activity there.
But I got three different pictures of it. The
Sending you
first
out.
time it's turning, the second time it's looking at me, and
The
the third
phone
time it's
probably
right down
won't
there.
make it buzz unless
Really?
it responds to a text or
Right,
something.
just a little.
Well, this one's
Transmitting.
broadcasting, so
Yeah.
it'll pick up
And
on
not
that.
all of them do it. Some EMF detectors will do it better than others. Like Millimeter, I think, is one that does it.
hmm
Some of the others, but that's more like a cell.
I'm assuming you want this
Sure.
around here somewhere.
Well, we've done investigations through here on a regular basis to where we've experienced this pretty much the entire ground. And
Well, there is a lot of dead people out
yeah, yeah.
Like
And some have been here a very,
I
very
think like
long time.
75,000 people or something like that.
Seven-
It's a lot.
there.
In the cemetery?
75,000.
Yeah.
It
Wow,
goes
that's
way
impressive.
back that. I can't remember the exact number, but I co-writer when we were writing the book about this place.
That's
He
impressive.
looked it up and found out. But the story behind the arch was that there was a Civil War general that was buried in this graveyard, and he wanted an arch over his grave. And they built it out of wrought iron, and then years later tore it down, and then put this one up. And so they say that he is mad about it, so he comes to the archway and like hangs out. I guess I don't know.
I
Anyway.
gotcha.
All right, so if I were to try to find your feed, where would I go?
Just go to YouTube,
Uh-huh.
James T. Mason.
James T. Mason.
Very meta watching yourself while you're investigating.
I'll try
All right.
to
Yeah.
tie this into my Facebook,
Blocked it down.
but we'll still only have one thing transmitting so that we won't make a lot of electromagnetic disturbances.
Okay.
My
That's cool.
phone's not on airplane mode, but it probably needs to be.
So when you're on airplane mode, you don't get no calls.
Subscribe.
Yeah, it won't put out or receive signals.
So we're pals now, or at least I'm subscribed to you.
Oh, cool.
Airplane mode.
But you won't get any calls or anything, so just remember to turn it back on.
Yeah.
See, that's
I'll forget.
I will too.
that's regular, like a regular camera.
Is that HD or?
I
I'm
hear
hearing
it.
voices. Yes, Lord.
No, this is not an HD, although it is fairly high
I
in,
need.
in quality.
We need some brand new equipment because ours is getting old, but it's expensive.
I was about to say, just because it's old doesn't mean anything wrong with it, right?
Well, it's standard definition. It's not as good as high def. The picture's grainy and not very dependable.
Well, you know, a lot of folks buy
Ooh, what's
buy
up?
security equipment.
Yeah.
You know, like the cameras you put in the corner of your house and that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
You can go to Costco and get one of those for a couple $100. It comes with 4 cameras and the DVR thing.
Those
and, you
DVRs
know.
used to be expensive. They were
Yeah.
the expensive part of the setup.
So what's the dial on the side for?
Oh, that's just the volume.
Okay.
You can turn like the sound on and off because you don't always
Oh,
want the
okay.
sound.
You literally mean volume, not sensitivity.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think there is a way to change the sensitivity on that one.
And some of them.
Sometimes with those too, if you move them real fast, they'll go off.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about the thing, but it'll make it. Is that batteries in it? Is it working? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, I don't need the sound. I was just curious to see what kind of sound it made. It's still pretty faint.
So hopefully I have tied your live feed into my Facebook page.
I'm not showing that you're online right now.
Me?
Yeah.
Did you do the Ask Dr. Ben or did you do the Ben Davis one?
Oh, I'm just looking on. There's no one watching at the moment.
Oh,
Well, he was watching a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
yeah. When I hit share, it obviously stopped the feed to send the link
Oh,
somewhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
I think we're good as far as that goes, though. We'll find out when I get home.
Yeah, everyone's watching the World Cup right now.
We're saving it for posterity no matter
Yeah.
what,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
Oh,
this
yeah.
happens.
It goes directly onto my.
That's actually that camera's pretty bright considering it's not that bright out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you know, cell phone cameras are like some of the best
State of
cameras
the art
around
now.
now.
Yeah.
You have to spend $1,000.
You know they
to
make
get
IR
better.
cameras for those.
Do they really?
Yeah, it's like a filter that goes over it. I don't know if it works or not, but they also make one of the like the FLIR.
Oh.
headlamps in the car.
I'd love to have a
I
FLIR
don't feel
camera.
like we necessarily need them.
They're a
Well,
lot
it's
cheaper
not dark
now.
yet.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not walking all the way back down there to get them.
Yeah.
well, we've got a couple of lights here and there, that kind of stuff. So
I got a couple of handheld lights. That
yeah, I've got a
battery.
flashlight thing right here.
That's what I'm using.
We got this thing.
You probably get enough. This feels like basically the center of Chattanooga, so you probably get enough ambient light.
Well, it's definitely
Some
the
nights
center
you
of
do,
Red
yeah.
Bank. Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
even a dark night's probably
Thanks.
like a full lit moonlight or something.
It still gets pretty dark up here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the lights.
You'll
You
see
will.
it like off in the distance, but
Yeah.
here it gets
I
pretty
mean, if
dark.
the cloud cover stays, we'll get
Yeah.
some
Unless the
light.
moon's
You'll
out, then it
definitely
gets
get some
bright.
reflection if
Yeah.
the cloud cover stays.
You need a breeze. That's what we need.
There is
I, of
the
course, would like to see
slightest
stars and
breeze.
constellations.
I feel the slightest
There is
breeze.
a little breeze out here. I checked it earlier.
We had a cigarette lighter out.
Yeah.
We were up there by the couch. That's a stone couch and it says couch on it. That was their last name. And a friend of mine was on the other side, and I was standing on this side with his wife. And we're sitting there talking, and we were standing like this right here, and somebody right here went, and there was no one that we
Nobody
could
there?
see standing there.
Huh.
And she went and got under her husband because it freaked her out. And of course, me trying to calm her down was like, "Did you hear it right here? Was it right here?" She's like, "It was right there." I was like, "Okay." It's like there's nothing here now. It drags me off into the darkness I've never seen again.
You wish.
I know.
You don't get out of taxes
If
that
only.
easy. Well, we can go up there if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
We can go up there.
We usually sit up there and do EVP stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Kind of feel weird sitting on someone's headstone, but it is a couch.
Well, it's kind of what it's for, right? It's like Condra.
Couch, it's a couch.
It's a bench. That's what it's used for.
Andra.
That one's fairly
It's
recent,
kinda
93.
cool, man.
2000. Yeah.
It's kind of cool that they give you benches to sit on, like, you know.
Yeah, it's like around here, man.
Come
This
hang
used
out
to
by
be-
my grave.
Right.
This used to
Have
be
a
a
bench.
park, like a park area where people come and have picnics and stuff
Yeah.
to visit their loved ones.
Martins. Martine. What? That was not a racist remark.
Spot right to here, man.
1884. Some really old stuff out through here.
There's Daddy and Mama.
Couch.
Did we find the couch?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Let's put a little love seat there.
I'll tell you what. It just screams comfort.
So Chris,
Yeah, I hear you.
the love seat here.
Yeah. You got the wrong guy.
Why don't you come cuddle with me?
Yeah, it's about as close as I'm gonna get.
Oh wait, you pointing the camera this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to behave.
Alright. Yeah. I'm just getting all this sexual harassment on tape, so
Well, you remember when we were in Con Carolinas and I flashed James Maxey
oh god, that was funny.
wearing my kilt? He just about lost it right there.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
He still hasn't talked to me since then.
Well, I mean, I can kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
He might be conflicted at this point.
Just a wee bit. What do you think? A lot of these investigations, a lot of this takes place at night. I always had the explanation of investigations taking place at night because it's quieter. Everything's calmer. But is
Well, I
that
mean, if there
necessarily
was,
true?
if, I mean, I don't. I mean, I've spent plenty of time out in the woods at night, and
You'll hear all kinds of
I
strange
mean,
stuff.
your imagination can get the best of you a lot of times, for sure. You can, um, and I would say that depending on your level of apprehension about a situation will have a profound impact on what you hear.
Well, I think the whole thing about night is also because one, it was good TV when it started,
Yeah,
and
it's true.
two, because it allows us to use a larger light spectrum with IR and
The night vision stuff.
It's not all washed out.
yeah. Well, when you're out during the day, you've only got regular light spectrum. When you're doing night shots, you've got IR and what's the other one?
Infrared.
Infrared. Thank you. No,
Well, that is
the
that's
opposite.
UV.
UV. Thank
UV.
you. Yeah. So people use UV lights in cameras, and that gives them a larger light spectrum to record in.
I can give you a much better spiel than that. The face of the Earth is away from the sun. You're in the shadows of the sun, so you're not getting any interference from the sun.
That's true.
And the sun, of course, blasts radiation on all frequencies. So
Oh yeah, that's true. Huh.
you're using the Earth. You're using the entire body of the Earth as a shield from solar radiation.
Makes sense.
So, Paul, sit on the couch. See if you can get somebody to answer you.
Won't be the first time. It's not comfortable though.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look. It doesn't have comfort in mind.
Somebody should bring cushions. Put them up here.
Those proportions are all wrong.
Now, do I need to get out of the way or
No,
just do whatever I want?
do whatever you want.
We'll see if Paul starts a conversation with somebody other than Chris.
There.
What? I need to shut up? Is that what you're trying to say?
That would be we want to record you not talking because that would really be something.
It would be something.
He's trying to say something.
If we got you and Jim Beal in a room together,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
we could all just walk away and
Yeah, I mean, I think I could have a conversation with Jim. I'm having a conversation with mosquitoes right now.
Yeah.
They're definitely real.
you're gonna do that for the rest of the evening, I imagine.
I don't know. I think after when the bats come out, they'll go running high.
Oh, sweet. We got bats.
I'm sure they do. Who doesn't have bats?
You guys ever do any caving?
I have. I don't do that cave crawling crap.
Uh-huh.
I'm not necessarily.
You're more of an upright caver.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You
I've
like
done
you
that.
like
climbing
strolling
and stuff.
borehole.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
Strolling borehole.
Explains a lot.
I don't do the whole down the little passageway where you have to squeeze through and all that, and where it starts raining and water's running and no, I'm not doing that. But I did some really good caves out in California, like in Pinnacle State Park, places like that.
Uh-huh.
It was some really good stuff.
Is that where you're from originally?
No, I'm from Florida originally. I was just
Okay.
in the Navy out there.
I went to a cave in Virginia one time that had somebody had taken the time to hone a bunch of stalactites and stalagmites so they produced perfect pitch, and then the
Wow.
instrument played the stalagmites and stalactites.
Wow.
But it sounded really good. I don't remember the name of it, but
Wow, that's awesome.
for anybody that's interested, sorry, just got to look that up.
That's kind of cool.
So you got off in the dark and you played somebody's organ.
Only you can think of that.
And I was worried about what I was going to say.
Holy shit.
You'll fit in well.
Not sure Mr. Couch would
I think you
approve.
made my meter go off.
Well,
I think somebody else's meter's gonna go off.
Oh, okay, Paul. You want to ask Mr. Couch if he wants to come around?
sure. So I'm doing live EVP right now,
Okay.
so it's really loud.
It was a bat. That was awesome.
Is there anyone here that would like to talk to us? I hear fireworks. Yeah. Is anyone here with us? If you'd like to talk to us, all you have to do is come up and talk into this area right here, and I'll hear you. Your dog's barking. Anybody else want to ask questions?
Is it all right if Paul sits on your headstone there, on your bench?
They didn't say no?
Maybe you should sit on the other side. Maybe you don't mind that side.
Sitting in the middle. Mine. Is there anyone here with us now?